I'm in Alviso. I had to park about 6 blocks from the entrance to where I left off before, which is in that direction. There was just no parking after I passed 237. This is actually North 1st Street, and all along this street I saw one after another high-tech buildings. High-tech headquarters and local headquarters, but it narrowed down into this street as I came past 237, and I didn't know until after I did my last report that as soon as you pass 237 you are already in Alviso. It's 72 degrees and going to get up to about 79 this afternoon, but I stopped here to take pictures of the snails. I've never seen so many snails on a sidewalk before in my life. I see up ahead here there are even more, so I'm moving quickly to get to them. Wow. I wonder why. Well, now I'm back at 237 over there. Those are the same two buildings that I said might be empty the last time I photographed them. And from the car I thought that this is probably the entrance to the trail, but now I'm not at all sure that it is. There is a gate there, but there's no fence on this side, so I can walk right in, but I don't know that this pavement is going to connect me to anything. We'll see. Well, I found the trail. It was only about a mile from where I had parked, and I drove up to here, and over there apparently is the bay. Alviso doesn't consist of very much, it looks like, from here. North 1st Street ends where that car just came out. And there's a railroad there. I will take the trail that way and then walk back on the other side to 237 and then come back this side back to the car. At least that's the plan. I've gone a block now, and that's my car over there where that golf cart is. And I was wrong about the end of North 1st. There was one more block to it. It actually comes down there by the railroad. And here the trail is described as a public shore, and it goes that way probably eventually to Fremont and the east side of the bay. In the distance there I can see a bridge which must be the Dumbarton Bridge at Menlo Park. And then there in the distance is Moffett Field, those huge hangars that are the markers for it. So eventually I'll come back here and walk in that direction to connect up again with Stevens Creek Trail and Bayshore Trail. But for now I'm going to cross the river here on the side of the railroad crossing. There's a walkway there. And then I'll do what I just said earlier I will do. Go back to 237 from the opposite direction of where I left off. Now on the railroad bridge, I'm where the river meets the bay. And right there, beyond that embankment, are the two buildings that I have described several times earlier as looking empty because you can see right through them. Much closer now than I expected they would be when I was looking at them the first time. A visitor to my YouTube page who watched the previous hike video kindly told me that this side, the west side of the river, is Santa Clara, and the east side is San Jose. So that answers a question that I had raised but didn't know the answer to at that time. I'm glad to know that, and I understand the layout of the valley quite a bit better now than I did before I started hiking. Actually, I've decided to change the word for what I'm doing from hike to nature walk. And I'll give you a link to a video explaining why I'm making that change. Well, there already in the distance is 237. And here in the foreground is a pond, which at first I thought was the river. But over there is the river. And that huge fencing there, directly across the river, is a golf driving range. And I was parked just on the other side of that golf driving range when I tried in vain to find an entrance to the trail. So I was so close, yet so far. And since I'm calling these nature walks now, besides my snails today, there are two huge geese that I should mention. And the last geese that I mentioned on a video didn't show up at all in my screen, even though I looked on a big screen even for them, so I'm not sure these are turning up either, but to the naked eye they're very visible. Interesting that they travel in pairs. And just a few feet beyond the geese are two snowy white egrets in the mud there. One of them just flew a little distance. I don't think I caught that in the video though. The one that's standing taller there flew from over here to there. Maybe to protect the smaller one from me. Well, there is 237 already. Looking east. Milpitas in the distance. Alviso here. Santa Clara there. That building has the word TiVo on it. I wonder if that's where TiVo was developed and has its headquarters, perhaps. I will cross over the same way I crossed 2 weeks ago, because there's no crossing on this side of 237. And here I am again, crossing the freeway, or crossing the river next to the freeway. I've already crossed the freeway underneath, and I'll be taking that ramp down and cross it the other direction in a few minutes. It rained all last week, and the main evidence of that I've seen today is here under Highway 237, which is quite muddy. In fact, I don't think I can walk through it without getting my shoes muddy. The news reports said by the weekend that our reservoirs are now at 102% of their capacity, and that includes the Lexington Reservoir, which we showed on one of my videos, oh, maybe 2 months ago now, beyond Los Gatos. And that's rather amazing considering how low it seemed to be at that time. Looks like some kind of vehicle has made tracks through this mud, so it's not quite as bad as I feared it might. Approximately where that bus is where I tried to find a way into this trail after walking half a mile to 3/4 of a mile from my car. Here's a slough with some ducks on it on this side, and there's the golf driving range. Actually, it looks like there's also a golf course there because I see some people with their golf club bags. So it's not a very long distance, and over there at the very distance a train just passed, and turns out that that's a passenger train track, probably the track that connects San Jose with Sacramento by way of Oakland. Now getting a good view of the golf center, Pin High Golf Center. Never seen a shirtless golfer before, but why not? And over here's a vendor with cold things. I would have loved to have had one, but I'm sure they're all very sugary, so I had to resist the temptation. But he passed me right by. We see those on the streets quite a bit in the San Jose area. I was standing there with the camera running, wondering what it was I wanted to add, and it was the temperature. It's 77 degrees now. Quite warm. Not as oppressive as I thought it might be at this temperature, though, with hardly any shade on this trail. Now just at the end of the golf center, I get my first glimpse of my car, which is parked next to the highway in front of us. So it was a short trail. I figured about a mile each way from that street to 237 and back. So far I've seen no signs of either houseboats at Alviso or a landfill. I haven't smelled a landfill, but I may take a little drive to the east as I'm leaving town and see if there's any sign of it further out. Oh my goodness, there's the blimp. It's maybe 3 or 4 miles away, probably coming into Moffett Field. So it looks very small, I'm sure, if it shows up at all on the screen. And it's now behind the treetop there in the mid-range. Now it's coming out again. Very interesting. Of course, I'm now close to my car. Today's nature walk is almost done.